Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for the first leg of the Champions League last 16. The best club competition is finally back and we have some action-packed, star-studded games ahead of us. We got Liverpool versus Real Madrid. This is literally the repeat of the Champions League final last year, with both teams suffering from poor form this season. We also got PSG versus Bayern Munich, two established European sides who pretty much top 3, top 4 favourites to win the whole competition. We even got Leipzig versus Manchester City, and we know in the past these two teams have given us thrilling results. Literally last year, I believe Manchester City won 6-3. So in that fixture, there are going to be so many goals waiting to happen. However, before I go in this video and give my match predictions, you know I'm going to say, make sure you guys like, comment and hit that big subscribe button right there, because only 10% of you guys are actually subscribed to my channel. And make sure you leave your match predictions in the comment section. Who do you think is going to win in the first leg of the Champions League last 16? So the first game I'm going to be predicting is Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern Munich, and we know both teams are pretty much top of the table in their domestic league. Both teams looking to give themselves a commanding lead going into the second leg. However, going into this game, it's not going to be as star-studded as we thought, because we know both teams are suffering from important injuries. We know Kylian Mbappe, the best player on planet Earth, is going to be missing in this game because we know he's suffering from a thigh injury. We know Bayern Munich are missing players like Neuer, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. We also got players like Sadio Mane, who they bought, is going to be injured ever since prior to the World Cup. So both teams are going to be weakened in certain areas, which potentially either team could exploit. However, going into this game, I believe Bayern Munich should be held the favourites. This is because I feel like they're much more team orientated. It feels like they work together. They'll have a much more of a better blend when it comes to their talent. We know in the midfield, they've got talented players like Musiala, who's established himself as one of the most talented, young, gifted players on planet Earth as we speak. We know they've got natural width with players like Coleman, who has been scoring goals lately, Leroy Sané, and behind them, they got the protection of Kimmich and Goretzka. So all round right there, as we can see, it feels like a well-functional team which know how to get results. And we have seen it this season because Bayern Munich have only lost one game all season. So that talks about how much of a good job now Griezmann has been doing, despite getting 4 consecutive draws in the month of January. We've already seen it in the Champions League this year, so dominant, winning all 6 group stage games, beating Barcelona twice, home and away. And we know that's not easy foot, especially with how well Barcelona have been doing this season under Xavi, the manager. So Bayern Munich should be licking the lips thinking they are the favourites, especially since they're not going up against Mbappe, who we know is one of the best players in the world, and he would have been very, very excited going against Bayern Munich, especially since he scored in the last few games he's played against them, and the fact that Bayern Munich are going to be playing a ridiculous high line, and with Cancelo and Davis being the attacking fullbacks, Mbappe would have had a field day exploiting that high line. However, we know in the past that individually, players like Neymar and Messi, they can bring their individual brilliance, their sparkling best, they can create opportunities out of nothing, and they can single-handedly potentially win this game for PSG. So in my head, I'm thinking it's team versus individual players who we know on their best day can defeat anyone, especially as a combination. However, PSG haven't been in great form compared to Bayern Munich. We've seen them only win 2 of the last 4 games. It feels like they've had players in and out of their squad at important times. We've seen Mbappe get injured. Neymar, he's even questionable if he's going to be able to play in this fixture. And Messi, we know he's just gotten back to form ever since the World Cup break. So honestly, if I was a betting man, I would bet with Bayern Munich, even though they are away from home. With Bayern Munich scoring 8 goals in their last 2 fixtures, we know they're going to pose a threat against PSG, especially when we know they have an old age Sergio Ramos who's past his best, and a fullback in Hakimi who's excellent going forward, but defensively he is going to leave you that space to exploit, with someone like Coleman will be able to do so. However, it is a Champions League game, it is about the tacticians, and I feel like both teams will fill each other out, not giving too much away, worried that they'll literally concede too many goals to not be able to compete in the second leg. I think it's going to be quite even. Both teams will be a little bit tentative, a little bit worried to give too much away. So I'm actually going to be predicting a 1-1 draw within the first fixture. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is AC Milan versus Tottenham Hotspur. And going into this game, if you're a Tottenham Hotspur, I don't think you could have asked for a better team to play. They are facing AC Milan, who have been absolutely horrendous ever since club football has returned, ever since the break of the World Cup. AC Milan have been absolutely atrocious. Look at their recent form. They haven't won in their last 7 games, which speaks volume of how poor they have been. They have literally seen themselves be in the title race with Napoli, and ever since then, they've been a disgrace, falling down and down the pecking order, being 5th in Serie A with question marks thinking, will they even qualify for Champions League football next season? Big players haven't been stepping up. Origi, who they signed, Giroud, who we know have been fabulous, maybe he's getting on. And we know Rafael Leao, who's one of the sought-after names in world football at the moment, hasn't been pulling up any trees and living up to his reputation. We know AC Milan defensively have been absolutely poor. Tomori's injured, one of the big signings last season, who was so important and integral for them winning Serie A. They're missing their starting goalkeeper. So many reasons is me pointing for Tottenham Hotspur to win this game. But we know Tottenham Hotspur, and we know, importantly, Antonio Conte when it comes to Champions League ties. Tottenham Hotspur maybe will become Spursy. They'll crack under pressure like we've seen in numerous times in the past. And we know Antonio Conte, when it comes to knockout football, you'd think his stylistically would work out, but his track record hasn't proven anything of that. He's been absolutely poor, making poor decisions, poor adjustments, which has led other teams winning over 2 legs. We know AC Milan have the history, the heritage, and maybe the fans in the stadium will push AC Milan over the line against an informed Tottenham side. However, Tottenham Hotspur will be licking their lips, and I just think they have been so good ever since the Fulham game. I feel like defensively, Antonio Conte has sorted it out a little bit, keeping 2 consecutive clean sheets in a row. We know going forward, they've brought players back like Kulusevski and Bentancur from injury, who have been absolutely superb ever since. And Tottenham Hotspur's front 3, I feel like, are clicking at the right time to dismantle an AC Milan backline, which have been absolutely atrocious. We know Harry Kane is on pace to score 30 Premier League goals this season, scoring 17 already. Heung-min Son has been playing a lot better. He has that hunger and fight back, scoring 2 goals against Preston and literally torturing Manchester City's high line. And Kulusevski, the perfect complementary piece to gel all these pieces together. Tottenham could not have asked for a better team, a better side to go against, to literally push themselves to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and I think they'll be able to do it. I think they'll be able to beat AC Milan in the first leg, despite going to a daunting atmosphere at the San Siro. So in this game, a professional away victory, I'm going to go for Tottenham Hotspur. I think they're going to win 2-1 at the San Siro against AC Milan. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Liverpool versus Real Madrid. And in my opinion, this is the biggest game of the Champions League last 16. 2 historic clubs where we know have had a rich history lifting that beautiful trophy. 20 Champions Leagues combined. And these 2 teams, not long ago, pretty much 8 to 10 months ago, faced each other in the Champions League final. However, ever since then, it feels like both teams have fallen off a cliff. Maybe not Real Madrid to the same extent, but especially Liverpool, who look like a shell of themselves compared to last season. Everything has been falling apart. They are playing like a mid-table side. We can't beat anyone, losing to teams like Brighton and Wolves comfortably, not even putting up a fight, not even showing the passion on the pitch, literally getting bullied in all facets of the pitch. And going against Real Madrid, who we know have been poor, we have no chance even at Anfield to beat them if we play anything like this. And going into this game, I feel like Liverpool have to replicate a performance like they did to Manchester City early on this season. They must show that fight. They must show that hunger, that spirit. Use the atmosphere of Anfield, because we know on European nights, it's a special atmosphere where teams start to feel the pressure and get phased due to the high press and the relentless energy. Liverpool must replicate this environment if they have any chance of beating Real Madrid. However, maybe Real Madrid are the worst team to face at this point when it comes to this sort of situation, because we know Real Madrid, they have a history of winning the Champions Leagues. They have experienced players who know what it takes when it comes to knockout football, even being in the most brutal and hostile environments. Kroos and Modric know how to dictate play, suck the energy and the life out of the fans to ensure that the game is played at a low intensity. We know Ancelotti is one of the most experienced managers when it comes to the Champions League, winning it the most times, so he'll be able to make specific adjustments and changes to suit Real Madrid to give them a better chance of winning. However, at the end of the day, it's not the same Real Madrid like we saw last year, maybe not even the same Real Madrid like we saw before the World Cup. Before the World Cup in La Liga, they got 31 points out of 33 games. However, ever since then, they've only accumulated 14 points out of 27, which just shows shows you the drop-off of levels for Real Madrid, which Liverpool could potentially use for their advantage for morale boost going into this game. Also, Liverpool got key fundamental players returning back to the squad. Virgil van Dijk, who will be able to solidify the defence potentially. You also got players like Firmino and also Jota going into the front line, which will give options off the bench if the game isn't going Liverpool's way, which we haven't had in the past. We must remember, Liverpool still have only lost one game at Anfield, which literally shows you how much of a fortress the stadium still is, and maybe the speed and intensity of the game may unsuit to Real Madrid, who have been an old aging side which need new young reinforcements injected into that starting 11. So maybe it may overwhelm Real Madrid, or maybe the experience factor may overwhelm Liverpool. We'll have to wait and see. However, going into the game, as a Liverpool fan, I still don't think we're good enough to win. We can't beat the mid-table sides. Our top scorer this season is a Leicester City player this year, which just shows you how going forward we can't score goals. Real Madrid have the experience, the know-how, and they just have our number over recent years. The Champions League final 2018, the 2022 final, even 2021 when it came to the quarterfinals, Real Madrid just know how to beat Liverpool, and literally it's most of the same players who have been whipping Liverpool throughout the years. So I have no doubt that Real Madrid are going to get the advantage at Anfield and win. I think Real Madrid are going to win 2-1. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Borussia Dortmund versus Chelsea. And I think this potentially may be the best game of the week, where I feel like it's going to be end-to-end, entertaining, attacking football from both sides, especially Borussia Dortmund. And going into this game, I feel like people are underestimating this Borussia Dortmund side. Despite Chelsea spending so much money this season, accumulating up to ridiculous results, 500 to 600 million pounds, they still haven't found their best 11. They still haven't fit all the jigsaw pieces together and to make a harmonious side which can get results, and it's going to be tricky. This game potentially has come too fast for Graham Potter to figure out how to win, because he still has so many players at so many positions. He doesn't know what his best lineup will be. Borussia Dortmund on the other side are completely different. Ever since the international break was over, they have won every single game since then, scoring 16 goals in their last 6 games. They have been dominant, they have been fearless, they have been taking games to opposition, and they have been dominating. Chelsea should be worried, especially going to a hostile atmosphere in Germany, when we know this is one of the worst atmospheres to go to in the world of football. I feel like Borussia Dortmund, the fan base, are going to be cheering them on. They have young, energetic, hungry players like Bellingham in the midfield. We know Adeyemi has been adding goals to his locker, and we know Reina, the winger as well, the American, he has been performing well. I feel like the youth, even the naiveness in a weird way, will help Borussia Dortmund to not be scared of the moment, to think about it too much, because they are pretty much the better side when it comes to Chelsea in terms of their starting 11. Chelsea have been struggling to score goals all season. Like I said, we know Erling Haaland has scored more goals than the whole club this season, which just shows you Borussia Dortmund should not be worried about conceding goals against this side, where we know Havertz is not clinical enough, Mount doesn't create enough opportunities. Also, Graham Potter lacks experience when it comes to the big stage of the Champions League, which I feel like will just suit Borussia Dortmund going into this game. And the fact Haller's back scoring goals for Borussia Dortmund mentally has given the side the boost and the edge which they need to go into this game against Chelsea in Germany. I feel like Chelsea will struggle, will be relentless high energy. If they have any chance, they must calm the game down, play their fluid brand of football, keep it calm, and dominate and suck the life out of the crowd. So going into this game, I think Chelsea will struggle. I feel like Borussia Dortmund will show how good they are. So I think they're going to win in Germany 2-0 against Chelsea. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is RB Leipzig versus Manchester City, and I think it's going to be quite straightforward who's going to win this game. This is because although Leipzig, we know in the past, have given Manchester City so many struggles, scoring so many goals against them, taking the game to them, especially on the counter-attack, RB Leipzig at the end of the day are missing key fundamental players to the way they play football. We know Nkunku is still going to be injured, Dani Almo is not going to be there, and we know those two added with Werner is literally the recipe to attack Manchester City's high line, especially with an unsettled back four, where it feels like Manchester City's manager Pep Guardiola is always tinkering with it, not allowing it to build continuity and understanding of each other's game of play, which has actually seen them concede so many goals this season. This is going to work into the advantage of Manchester City. I feel like at the end of the day, although their club form hasn't been superb, they are still second in the Premier League. They still have the man up top, Erling Haaland, who is been brought in to score goals to kill ties off. And I still feel like the way this Manchester City side has been constructed it's been constructed to win knockout games. Maybe not in the Premier League, but they bought Erling Haaland to still kill off games when it's still in the balance. And I think Manchester City should cruise within this game. I feel like Manchester City have the firepower, the depth, the talent, the quality to win this game fairly easily. I think they're going to win 3-1 against Leipzig away from home. So the last game I'm going to be predicting is Frankfurt versus Napoli, and I feel like this is going to be an underrated game which not many fans are talking about. Going into this game, I think Napoli are the heavy favourites, and in fact, in terms of the whole Champions League competition as a whole, I think they should be one of the key favourites, one of the main favourites going into it, because although they might not have the rich history like Real Madrid and Liverpool, I feel like this season they have been absolutely spectacular, dominating Serie A, being top of the league by 13 points. They are well-drilled, well-coached side, the best in Europe in my opinion right now, and there's a reason why they're sitting top of Serie A. They have literally scored the most goals, conceding the less, which just shows you in all facets of the game of football, they are well-coached and well-drilled, and Frankfurt will struggle against them. We have seen them going forward, especially, we know Ousmane has scored 16 goals in 17 games, a sought-after name in Europe where teams like Manchester United will potentially want to sign him when it comes to the summer. Kvara, his nickname, the Georgian forward right next to him, those two have formed a great partnership which has been so important for Napoli being so impactful in the final third, and I just feel like Frankfurt will struggle in this game. Frankfurt have actually been decent this season, competing for the Champions League spot, and we know their epic run to the Europa League was magnificent, and they're going to have those loyal fan base which took over Camp Nou last year, being so important to potentially maybe pull off an upset at home against Napoli. But at the end of the day, Napoli have too much quality, they have too many players who can win them the game, and we have seen in the Champions League already, dismantling, destroying Liverpool 4-1 at home. We also saw in Serie A destroying Juventus 5-1, and I feel sorry for Frankfurt that they have to face them, but I think Napoli should coast to victory in the first leg. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory for Napoli against Frankfurt.